Hello, my name's Jack from WePC, and today we're going to be reviewing the Acer Predator Orion 5000. So this first section is just going to be me talking about what's in the box, the specs of the system briefly, and just my first impressions of it. So in the box you do get a Predator branded keyboard and mouse. They're to an acceptable quality, at least in light up. The keys are a little bit mushy. You know, you're not going to be getting a mechanical keyboard with this. You also get, which I've not seen this before, you also get an additional side panel. This is sort of a hybrid. This does have a nice sticker on it actually. I quite like the look of this. It's Predator branded obviously. There's a flat surface, they've put a Predator logo on it, trust me. It's also mesh and sort of, you know, see-through. You've got a nice big bevel on it. It kind of looks nice, to be honest. And of course you get all the relevant power cables, that sort of thing. And of course the PC itself. So in this PC we have a Core i7-10700K, we have an RTX 2070 Super, we also have 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and that's at 3200 MHz, 2 8 sticks, terabyte SSD, a terabyte M.2, and a 120mm AIO water cooler. So this PC is very gamery. I do like the Predator logo and stuff. It does sort of look like it was designed by a 12-year-old boy that's way too obsessed with the Alien franchise, but it's not done too badly. It has got some nice, quite stylish air vents on the front of it for decent airflow. It looks okay, adds to the overall aesthetic of the build. I know what they're going for, I can see it. Although they don't look like it on the top, they are functional vents. They kind of look like fins. They're pretty cool. Definitely, you can feel some airflow through them, so they're functional, they feel quite nice. So when it comes to this pre-built and RGB, there is quite a lot of RGB to offer here, to be honest. It's got the nice RGB lit power button, it's got the 2 accents on the front, it's got the RGB fans, and inside the case it's got obviously the GeForce RTX logo. Decent chunk of RGB. Unfortunately the back fan isn't RGB, which is what I would have liked to have seen, but you can't have everything. The case is pretty small. I'd say it's a small form factor case-ish. It holds what looks like an extended ITX board inside, so to give you an idea for size comparison, that's what's inside. It's not too big, it's not big enough to be a centerpiece, but it's not too small to just look like a little box at the corner of your room. It's a very decent size. Heavy though. So front I/O then, you have got 2 USB 3 ports, 1 USB 2 port, a USB 3.1 port, and separate microphone and audio jacks, which is nice. Decent amount of USB for plug and play devices, and that nice USB Type-C 3.1 there. It's nice to see that they've got split audio on the front, because I personally hate having to reach around to the back of the system and use these separate audio jacks in the motherboard, so it's nice that they're on the front. Okay, so we've gone into my kind of first impression of the PC, some brief specs inside it. Now we're going to see how it does in benchmarks. So first of all, we're going to throw it into Outriders, see how that does. It's all on maximum settings. In 1080p, it averages 108 FPS with 1% lows of 67 and 0.1 of 48. Next up is Outriders in 1440p, again on the same settings, and that manages to average 74 FPS. 1% lows of 47 FPS and 0.1% of 33. Last but not least for Outriders, we have 4K Ultra, again on the same settings, and we managed to get a solid 42 FPS average, 1% lows of 31 and 0.1 of 18. So next up is Far Cry 5, again on Ultra settings. In 1080p, we managed to get an average of 120 FPS, 0.1 of 66, 0.1 of 38. 1440p now, we managed to get an average of 96 FPS, 1% of 58, 0.1 of 49. Again for Far Cry in 4K, we get 58 FPS average, 1% of 52, 0.1% of 37. And just because it's a pre-built, we're going to throw in a couple of synthetic benchmarks as well. So the i7-10700K in Cinebench grants us a score of 1344 in single core, and in multi-core it grants us a score of 13247, and that is Cinebench R23. So next up, we're going to put it in 3D Mark Extreme 4K benchmark, and it comes out with a respectable CPU score of 4886 and a graphics score of 4686. So this PC is actually equipped with a hot swappable SSD slot, or mount, whatever you want to call it. It's located inside here. Pretty cool. But what isn't so cool is the fact that when you pull the enclosure out, You're supposed to place your SSD inside this enclosure. Enclosure slides in, hot swap. Beautiful. That's how it's supposed to be. But no matter what screw I used to screw in the SSD, can't screw it in on the bottom, no holes to line. I might be using this wrong, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. No matter what I used, I could not get the SSD enclosure to fit in this space with screws screwed in. Now, like I said, I might be using it wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, and it would not fit in. And you may think that, oh, just don't screw the SSD in then. Well, there's a problem with that, because when the mount goes in with the SSD in it, it plugs in, fine. But when you come to take the mount out, mount comes out, but SSD doesn't. It's stuck in there, you have to pull the front of the whole case off to get at it. I don't know if this is a problem on all of the machines, or it's just a problem on ours, but it needs to be addressed. You know what, I've just added another thing to my list. So one thing I've noticed with pre-built PCs is that manufacturers go to great lengths to stop upgradability. And that's because they want you, instead of going out and buying new parts, they want you to buy a whole new PC off them. And this is no exception. They've really tried to manufacture this PC in a way that it's difficult to upgrade. Now, it's not just Acer, it's many a PC manufacturers. It's a problem with a lot of them. Don't pick on Acer, but I'm going to show you a few things here. Does that look like the back of a normal PC? No, it doesn't. This back plate here is essentially part of the case, which stops you from accessing the back of the motherboard to unscrew the CPU mount. So this is a back plate. This is essentially part of the case. Now, this back plate here prevents you from accessing the mount that mounts your CPU block to your CPU, leaving upgrading that CPU block a difficult task. Despite the fact that there's plenty of room down here for cables, they opted to feed the cable up through here and have them all bunched up below the CD drive. By the way, CD drive, why is there a CD drive? Another factor, or another measure Acer have taken to stop you from upgrading this computer so easily, is the fact that they've literally screwed the GPU into the case. Well, Jack, isn't the GPU supposed to be screwed into the case? Yes, here, not here. There is a bracket here, essentially bolting the GPU to the motherboard. I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's to prevent damage in shipping, I don't know, but a sag bracket would do just that, or packing material. They didn't need to screw the GPU into the case. I feel like it's an underhanded way to stop you from upgrading the computer and just to opt to buy a newer model. Also, I'd like to think in a gaming machine, you would get something a little bit better than your green standard RAM. I mean, it's okay, it's decently fast RAM, it's, you know, Ryzen standard of fast. I know it's an Intel build, but that's okay. So while I'm looking at fans, it's reminded me that this PC's loud. If you don't mind playing your games next to something that sounds like a Boeing 747 spinning up, then this PC is the PC for you. I'm joking, it's not that loud. Although it does sound like it's going to the moon sometimes, unlike Dogecoin. Okay, so that's about it there is to mention, to be honest. In summary, it's okay. For this price point, the technology, a little bit lacking, just a little bit, but that is the nature of the market these days. You can't get a GPU. Even some CPUs are out of stock. Power supplies, even them, quite hard to get anything over 850 watts. So for the technology and for the fact it's a pre-built, there is a premium on pre-builts anyway, but it's not terrible. The pricing is not terrible. Do I like the look of it? It could look better, but again, it could look worse. I'm kind of neutral on the look. I think that the way they've designed it so you can't tamper with it, kind of infringing on your right to repair as well. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like how pre-built manufacturers do that. I think if someone's paying for a PC, it should be their own and they should be able to do what they want to do with it. So is that a cash grab by companies like Acer and all the other ones that do it? Or is it them building a strong, hefty machine that can survive shipping? I don't know. I guess that one's up to you. Would I recommend it? Yeah, if you're buying it for your kid or a friend who's just getting into PC gaming or something like that. It'd make a great birthday, Christmas present, something like that. But definitely, you know, if you've got a custom PC already, I wouldn't go this particular route. But yeah, that's about it. So remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this. We do have a benchmark of this PC specifically on the benchmarks channel, so head over there and subscribe to there for more benchmarks and stuff. We have a lot of optimization guides coming out soon. Click here for a video YouTube thinks you'll like. And yeah, that was about it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.